Hi, and I'm Carolina, and I also work at Community United Against Violence. I have a couple of questions. One of them is regarding language access. So Cuav is part of the Domestic Violence Consortium, which I think many of you are probably familiar with. And one of the things we're working on with the police department is the fact that the language access policies that you have are not being implemented, right? And I'm really glad that you're working with Beverly around this and that you're trying to make it better. But the truth is that right now it's not being implemented, and monolingual Spanish speakers of people who do not speak English have a really hard time to try to communicate with the police. So what's happening if maybe a person who's monolingual, who doesn't have interpretation, is trying to say something and maybe is very flustered, and the police gets scared and thinks that this person is actually trying to attack them and then shoots them with a taser? So what are you doing to address this issue? What happens when somebody is not an English speaker and you do not have a person who speaks their language there? Are you just gonna then just tase them to wait for an interpreter?
Number one, the language minds and efficiency programs are fully implemented. There have been incidents where it has fallen short, and we're trying to address those in these cases. But you can walk into any police station right now and access language access in tens of languages, visa a card in your own language, make your reports in the language of your choice. Obviously, in an unfolding incident, a person that was monolingual would present a situation, and we would do the best we could, again, to create time and distance and try and get a person that could talk to that person before we would ever go to any sort of a weapon.
Samara Marion from the OCC runs the language access
we're working with her
group, which Beverly's on, and myself and Angela Chan. So to the extent to which we identify holes, we all work together to fill them and deal with any policy issues, because it's a huge commitment of everyone on the commission that, in particular, people who have language access issues are able to communicate victims, witnesses. So to the extent to which there's any holes, you could talk to myself, or I know the OCC is represented here tonight, but I know we're talking about today.
I understand the intentionality of wanting it to work. I just want you all to take that into consideration, the fact that today, this moment, it's not working properly, right? So what are we doing about that? And this San Francisco, it really big. So the line is working. I'm sorry, sir. I'm part of the DVC, and I understand what I'm talking about.
You have a point
the
of view.
line.
I'm entitled to a point of view too.
And I hear you, the line is working. What's not working is that connection between a human being that's trying to connect to the police and that line. So there are a lot of holes there, and I'm glad they're trying to, fix it. But my point is, you're making a decision on something that's not just going to happen like 5 years from now. It's going to happen very soon. And then the other question that I have you considered making an actual study from an independent source, not from the Department of Justice, about, when the verbal de-escalation technique was implemented, which I think it's a great idea. Like, what have been the results? How has it been implemented? Has it been well implemented? Like, has there been, a 1 year, 6 month real study about how that's working and how it could be strengthened?
I'm sorry, have we considered an independent
study to try to evaluate and assess how the officers are being able to work with the verbal de-escalation techniques that were adopted?
In place for about 19 months, and we haven't had to use any deadly force, and we don't have tasers.